What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the 5 worst and best gadgets for Brawl Stars in Season 13. So, before we jump into it, make sure you're using a great code. That'd be greatly appreciated. Without further ado, let's hop right into it. Okay, so first we're going to be taking a look at the 5 worst gadgets within Brawl Stars right now. At number 5, I had a Multiball Launcher with Rico. So as you guys clearly know, Bouncy Castle is by far the better gadget with Rico. But even when, before Bouncy Castle got introduced with Rico, this gadget was really bad. It's so hard to get any value with it. You only deal like 320 per shot if you actually hit one of these gadgets. And it's only really good when the brawler is literally on top of you. But if you know if Rico has this gadget, you can easily avoid it. Just keep your distance a little bit, or just wait for him to waste those gadgets, and it's really easy to capitalize. Doesn't even do a lot of damage. There's not actually a lot of balls that really fly out, and for me it just looks really cool but doesn't actually do anything. So next up, as the 4th worst gadget in the game right now, we have BB's new gadget, Extra Stickies. So with this gadget, I feel like it's really hard to get value with this, just because you need your super to be able to activate the gadget. A lot of the times you don't really need to slow the opponent when you're already like bubbling someone in your face, or a lot of times you're really sniping people with this bubble. Just feel like there's just extreme scenarios where this gadget can only get any value. So me, I'd actually rework this gadget to actually make it so you slow people whenever you knock them back. So you could probably pop your gadget, knock someone back, and then get them to be slowed, and then it allows you just to chain your attacks with BB a little bit easier. Okay, so next up, as the 3rd worst gadget in the game right now, we have Amber's gadget, Dancing Flames. So with this gadget, she has 3 flames that orbit her, dealing 500 damage whenever it hits an opponent, but it's just really lackluster. It doesn't really connect to the opponent a lot because the radius is really small, but also it's super slow, and it's only 500 damage when you actually hit an opponent. So it's not really going to help Amber. Like, they probably created this gadget thinking that's really going to help her with her weaknesses. Of course, her biggest weakness is people when they're up close, because she doesn't really deal a lot of damage up close. So obviously this gadget was built with that in mind. But they don't want to make it as broken as maybe Rattled Hive was in the past, when B, has this kind of mechanic where it deals damage automatically for you. I can see why they really made it a little bit bad, but for me, it needs multiple buffs, especially to its damage, its radius, to make it even somewhat viable. Okay, so coming in at the 2nd worst gadget in the game right now, we have Karls Gadget Heat Ejectors. So ever since this gadget has been released, it's always been a bottom 5 gadget in the game easily, so I couldn't make this video without including it. It's still absolutely terrible, only 1200 damage. It's got some nice radius and at least keeps people at bay for a little bit, but for the most part you can just run over the fire. It's not going to deal a lot to your 1200 damage. That's like 1 card attack. It's not a lot, so to buff this in the future, it's going to be pretty hard, because Flying Hook is near enough always the better alternative. Well, it is pretty much the better alternative every single time, but to increase its damage maybe ×2, you might actually have a little bit of a choice depending on the map. Okay, so moving on to the worst gadget in the game right now. There's no surprises whatsoever. Nothing has changed within the last year. Poco with his Protective Tunes gadget is by far the worst gadget in the game, mainly because of the amount of value you can get with it, especially in comparison to its other gadget. But just overall, it takes extreme scenarios to get any sort of value with it. It can be really good against people who are using Crow with a Slowing Toxin gadget, especially in the Power League draft format. It can really help you out there, but that is an extreme case. Like, it doesn't really help you in any other scenarios. So there's a couple of ways that you could buff this, or just completely rework his gadget to not make it anything like it is. But for me, maybe just implementing, so maybe at 4-5 seconds after you press the gadget, you're still like invulnerable to those adverse effects. So any slows, any knockbacks, whatever. This might be a little bit too strong, but at least test it out to see whether it works. Okay, so now moving into the 5 best gadgets within the game right now. Of course, we're starting off the list with Squeak's Gadget Residue. So this gadget lasts for 10 seconds. It scouts bushes. It gives you a slowing effect as well. So there's a couple of changes, of course, I want to make to this gadget. Of course, literally deleting it from 10 seconds to 5 seconds would be really nice. And also, like, the radius is a little bit bugged. You actually get slowed outside of radius, which is a little bit annoying. For me, it just lasts for too long, as I've already said before, and just can give you so much value and give you so much control just at the start of the game by pressing a green button. But the reason why I believe they've not actually nerfed this is because Squeak is still somewhat like okay when he's top of the meta, right? He's definitely counterable by those aggro brawlers, and once you burn those gadgets, as I said, like you can counter him pretty well, but it's just a little bit annoying that Brawler can only be good because of his gadget, but they might think it's a pretty healthy meta just because you can still counter him. Okay, so next up, as the 4th best gadget in the game right now, of course, we have Karls Gadget Flying Hooks. Whenever Karl is somewhat meta, it's mainly because of his gadget being able to fly him basically anywhere across the map so easily, makes him such an incredible assassin, especially against brawlers that are really squishy and vulnerable to his super. He can easily just dictate the game, cause so much pressure, so many good things about this gadget, being able to make so many amazing plays as well. Pretty self-explanatory. You guys know that this gadget is so insanely broken. Okay, so coming in at the 3rd best gadget in the game right now, we have Karls Gadget Slowing Toxins. So with this gadget, you can essentially slow up to 3 enemies just by literally poisoning them, pressing gadget, and then you're going to get so much control because they're slowed for a whole 5 seconds, which is just so crazy. And as I said, it can give you so much control, being able to pinch you and your teammates both at the same time. You get so much pressure with it as well. I just feel like it's so incredibly broken. Everyone's been crying out for this nerf for such a long time. I feel like a stuck record. You could probably replay this from every single season, and this gadget has to be in the top 5 basically of all time. So for me, the main reason why they've probably not nerfed this is because they're probably a bit skeptical that Crow might be really weak if this gadget gets nerfed. So if you see a nerf to this gadget, expect a little bit of a change to hit the way he works. Okay, so now moving into this 2nd best gadget in the game right now, we have Pam's Gadget Scrap Sucker. So this gadget is absolutely insane in 1v1 scenarios. There's basically no counterplay to this, just because you're removing the whole ammo from the enemy, you're gaining ammo as well. It just allows Pam to be so good up close, and she can counter so many of the aggro brawlers. That's why you basically see her countering a lot of those like Fang picks, basically any brawler like Mortis as well. You can just go Pam with this gadget and you're going to literally obliterate them. And as I said, there's no real counterplay. Maybe brawlers that have like a good pushback super that you're able to at least push Pam back away whilst you reload. But for me, this gadget, it has to be one of the best inside of a game. Okay, so now moving into the best gadget in the game right now, we have Surge's Gadget Power Shield. So to begin with, I thought this gadget was okay, but the other one for Surge was definitely the more stronger one to begin with. But as people have learned to use this gadget and the best ways to get the value out of it, I feel like it's insanely broken. It's so strong, being able to protect yourself to 80% of the damage incoming, and then it gives you all of your ammo back. It just makes for such broken plays. It lasts for 5 seconds as well. You're basically able to tank pretty much anything as long as you have a little bit of HP available, especially when you're like jumping into enemies as well. You can just get so much damage potential. You can think of it, you have the 3 pieces of ammo, and then you can pop gadget, they give you another 3 pieces of ammo. That's like 6 shots in the space of like a short amount of time, which is just going to literally obliterate anyone. So for me, this gadget has to be nerfed, maybe making it so you only get 2 pieces of ammo, or the shield only lasts like 4 seconds or so. But for me, it has to be the best gadget in the game. Alright guys, it's going to be it for today's video. Let me know what you think about the worst 5 gadgets and the best 5 gadgets in the game, how you would nerf them or how you would buff them. So a lot of these really haven't changed. I'm hoping in the next update that a lot of these will be addressed, because these type of videos can get repetitive sometimes. That's why I try to switch it up a little bit, because most of the top gadgets and the worst gadgets don't really change a lot, especially, you know, like Protective Tunes, for example, hasn't been buffed whatsoever. Slowing Toxin hasn't been nerfed whatsoever. So I'm hoping for a lot of adjustments in the next set balance changes. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.